trading club at my school, just because, this is what I'm good at. This is what I know really well. I'm not in any sort of fraternity or anything. So that's good. But, you're just getting started. Etsy is an interesting play. I haven't looked at Etsy stock in a long time. Let's actually pull that up right now. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. What's going on? Yeah, it looks like a little dip off the open, then a rip. Etsy stock, just looking at it on a big time frame here, Etsy just isn't doing a whole lot. So, to me, a stock that's down this much is either an investment or not something that I would be trading day to day, simply because there's just not a lot of movement in it anymore. It's just kind of slowly moving, in this area. You followed some guy. Okay. Was it someone in this chat or was it someone on, like Twitter or something? Someone outside. Okay, cool. Well, nothing against them, but try to focus on one or two people. I can tell that you're a free member here. So, if you do want to switch to the premium side, which obviously I'm going to recommend, you can then pick a coach. So I run the day trading stuff. So I'm the day trading coach, but there's also a swing trading coach. There's an option spread coach. So it's more like a passive income on options. Obviously much slower, but I day trade options. That's, what I do on a day-to-day basis, and also teach day trading strategies and whatnot. Yeah, options are good. And, a lot of people get into options just because it doesn't take a lot of capital to get started in. Good. Yep. Yeah. I mean, reading charts is it's a skill. It's like learning a language. It takes time, but again, that's stuff that I teach. So I hope that you learn over time. You're only a few weeks in, so like I said, it will take time, but stick with it. Try to learn it, and like I said already, it's like learning another language. Once you understand it on a deeper level, it's like muscle memory. Yep, slow and steady. That's all you need. Yeah, and also like Duco said here, be very cautious. There's no reason to go in with all your money, especially if you're looking to day trade them. For sure, that's what I do. So I mean, it's very high risk. So the longer you follow me, you're going to understand that I'm very cautious with what I do. I'm very patient, very disciplined, because you have to be. I've learned the hard way, especially early on, that options isn't something that's easy to trade. I mean, if you can trade equities, it's obviously slower, but it takes a lot more capital to actually make a decent chunk of change from it. So, I've worked at a trading floor before, and those guys are moving hundreds of millions of dollars, so they can actually trade equities and they don't need to trade options. But options isn't the best place to start, but not the worst, as long as you can understand from a very early on standpoint that it is risky, it's very volatile. So you don't need to go in with a lot of money. You don't need to go in with your whole account. Look to get those base hits, especially early on. I mean, maybe even start paper trading with fake money to try to learn what to do, and then switch over to real. Obviously it doesn't take a lot of capital, but that also means that if you go in with, if you have $1,000 account, you're going in with your entire account, you can blow it up very fast. If you're not careful, you don't practice good risk management. I would recommend, especially being in high school and being very new, look to make those $10, $20, $30 days. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, you're going to see people online. You're going to see people in this chat making a lot more money than that. But, you can never compare yourself to other people. That's something I did early on, and it actually made my learning curve longer because I wanted to get to those multi-$100, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 days. And, now that I'm to that point, and again, I don't share profits. I don't share monetary value very often, if ever, just because I never want to make people think in a monetary standpoint. I want you to think percentages. I want you to think base hits, depending on your account. Yeah, I mean, a little bit per day is really good, and it's going to add up, especially when you're building your account. It's an exponential growth, right? So if you start with $1,000 and you're making 20 bucks a day, $30 a day, obviously, a golden rule of trading, and especially when you get into it, is actually not trying to focus on a dollar amount. Because if you're like, okay, I need to make $100 a day, and you catch a small trade and make $40, well, you're going to be like, well, man, I need to find another trade to try to get to that $100 standpoint. That's not how you need to think. You need to try to find one really good trade a day, if any. I mean, you're going to notice that I actually probably take less than 5 trades a week, meaning less than one trade a day. And, in other market conditions, I have been, at the point where I do 1 or 2 or even 3 trades a day at sometimes when the market's really hot, a lot of setups are happening, a lot of opportunities. That's when you can kind of put your foot on the gas. In different market environments, when there's not as many setups, you have to be able to be disciplined enough to really step back and look for that 1 or 2 good trades a day. Because once you go trade hunting, trying to find something to make money, that's where you're going to lose a lot more, more often than you're going to win. And that's where the problems start to happen. That's where you start kind of death spiraling. You start losing money that you don't need to lose, and things get a little tricky. So anyone on Twitter, I see a couple of y'all here and YouTube as well. I say it every time, but I want to reiterate it. You guys can ask questions. I can see the questions as well. So this is my one free live stream a week. It's more of a Q&A style for me to sit here and help you guys. And then toward the end, I'm going to be, kind of charting for tomorrow. Make sure there's no news coming out tomorrow. Look at earnings, all that kind of stuff, just to prepare ourselves. And then we head out of here. So don't be shy. Ask whatever you want. I'll also go over my trade for today. It was actually really, really good. I haven't had a setup that worked this well in a while, and I made a good chunk of change. I think some other people did as well. Yeah, well, I mean, Fidget, don't even look about what you lost. Every day is a new day. Every trade's a new trade. You can never let your past trades affect your next, even if you win a lot. Today was a really good day for me and for a couple other guys that followed me this morning. And the one thing I don't want anyone to do is think that tomorrow is going to give that same opportunity. It may not. It may give a better one. We don't know. So our job is to react to what the market gives us and trade it the same way we would trade any other setup, without too much confidence, any sort of be over biased, nothing like that. So, Duco, how'd you do today? I know you caught a little piece of that. I know you're working though, so it's not as easy. Air smell. You're new here. What's going on? If you want to type in chat, just click the little chat button next to the free live stream tab that you just clicked on. It's next. There you go. I see you in here. Cool. What's going on? But yeah, so kind of an interesting day. I expected chop, and that's kind of what we got. However, the trade that I wanted to see happened pretty beautifully. It didn't set up as perfectly as I wanted to pre-market, so we had to change game plans a little bit, and I'll get into that here in a second. But yeah, it was awesome. It was about a 3, maybe 4-minute trade. Day was done. ASML is supposed to do good, but I think it's going to drop a couple dollars as soon as market opens tomorrow morning. Well, you can think whatever you want to think, but, and I'm not being critical here at all. I want you to get to the point where you don't have any sort of bias toward what you think is going to happen, because no one really knows. No one really knows what's actually going to happen. You can have some sort of plan on what you want to happen, and then you trade it, right? You need to have rules and principles that you follow, and I'll get into that as well for my Tesla trade that I took today, on why I did what I did, how I set things up, what I wanted to see happen pre-market. I even type out my trades pre-market for the premium guys. So just make sure that if you can see those, you should check them out. ASML, though, I don't even know what that is. $900 stock. Okay, it's interesting. Obviously pretty strong here, been moving pretty well. We are going flat, though, in this range-ish. I don't know if there's news that you saw. I don't really know what. I'm trying to be. I did this Morgan Stanley. It did perfectly before market. Let's open. I was going to pull out, but boom, it just went down. Okay. MS. So I know bank earnings are, I think they were this week. So Morgan Stanley is probably one of them. Earnings report tomorrow. So that's something good that I can talk about. I would never. So let's say, for example, right now, you're looking at Morgan Stanley and they have earnings tomorrow. A rule of mine, and maybe this doesn't apply to the way that you trade, and maybe you found a way to trade pre-earnings that you like. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just going to talk about my rules and my principles. When a stock, and I would recommend listening to this, when a stock has earnings that week, or maybe the week, the next week coming up, the contracts are going to be inflated because IV goes up. And what IV is implied volatility. So think about a balloon blowing up, right? So the balloon's blowing up, the prices of the contracts are getting more expensive, meaning basically because the market makers know, and a market maker is someone who actually writes the contracts for you to buy. They want them to be more expensive because they know that more people are probably going to be looking at the stock because earnings are coming out. So they're going to make the contract prices, depending on the stock, they're going to make them more than they typically are. And so the reason they do that is because more people are going to look at it, for one, and two, there's more money to be lost there by people that are actually looking at these contracts. So the day after earnings is when the balloon pops. It's an IV crush. So right off the open, regardless of where the stock goes, even if it goes in the direction that you were wanting, the contract prices are actually going to lose value. So obviously you can swing earnings, meaning you're kind of gambling on a big move up or down that the stock's going to have depending on the earnings that are coming out. My rule is I'm not going to trade a stock that has earnings that same week until after the earnings. So a stock that I typically look at that actually has earnings this week is Netflix. I have absolutely no interest in touching Netflix until after earnings. Their earnings are on Thursday, meaning I will not even consider trading Netflix until Friday because their earnings are Thursday after the market close. So Friday morning is the day after earnings, right? So I let the contracts inflate the whole week. I let them do whatever it wants. The stock's going to make a big move Thursday night, whichever way, if the earnings are good or bad. And then the day after, if I want to trade it, and I'll always look at a stock, especially a big tech stock, because Fidget, I know you're new, so I'm just going to say this again, but I only trade a handful of stocks, and it's usually all the tech stocks: Tesla, Apple, Netflix, Nvidia, Meta, Google, stuff like that. I only trade those unless there's some sort of news going on outside of my normal watch list that I want to get involved in. So let's say that I want to trade Netflix the day after earnings, right? So for this case, it would be Friday morning. I'm not, even if Netflix is moving crazy, off the open the first few minutes, I can't touch it because I know that the IV crush is happening. So if I want Netflix to go up and I get in the first minute or two and the stock's going up, well, maybe the contracts are gaining a little bit of value, but they're going to be losing value so much quicker. And if there's any sort of pullback against me, you could, a typical loss, let's say, is maybe 10 or 20% on a little pullback. Well, it could be 40, 50, 60% because IV is actually getting crushed as well. So you just have double the force against you when you're trying to trade it. So like I said, if I am trying to trade Netflix, I'm going to give it a good, 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 minutes. Let the volume come into the contracts. Let the IV crush happen. Let those contracts lose value. let them kind of stable out, and then I'll look to get involved. Makes sense? Who else is in here? RB, what's going on, man? Pretty fun day, huh? Fidget, that makes sense to you? You got any questions on that? Greek Freak. What's up, man? You're new. Okay, good. And you know, basically, it's just that just comes from a risk standpoint. You know, you just don't want to put yourself in the position. Yeah, maybe you could make money, but the odds are a lot more in favor of you actually losing money. So that's why it's just a rule of mine. And yeah, believe me, I have made the mistake of trying to make money pre-earnings, and you know, maybe even the day of earnings when I try to swing a stock overnight. Let's say Tesla has earnings and I want to hold a call overnight through earnings because I think that there's going to be a crazy, you know, push in the stock. And even if the stock goes up, it has to go up enough to the point where the IV crush doesn't kill me. Because if, let's say that you buy a put on Tesla and you want it to go down, right? And it goes down just a little bit or even opens flat, well, you're actually going to end up being down 40 or 50% just from the IV crush. So the odds are so much against you. And of course, there's those outliers like, you know, NVIDIA had a crazy earnings move maybe 6 months or a year ago that made a lot of people money that actually ended up swinging earnings. Those are just outliers. So, you know, always look at trading earnings as a gamble. And, you know, you honestly have better odds going into casino, but you also have odds of making a huge return. I don't like saying that, but that's just the truth. I don't want that to make you think that, well, maybe I should gamble $50 or $100 because chances are just so far against you to actually make money. What other questions you guys got? And then I'll get into my my Tesla trade for today. Yeah, just listen to me. Yeah, patience for sure. YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. I'll say it again. You guys can ask questions and I can see them. So if you have anything you want me to go over, any tickers, any questions, ask away. This is my one time a week where I'm here for you guys to go over some educational stuff because everything else I do is for our premium members here in the Discord. I don't know exactly how, but I'm sure you can just click on the live stream. There should be a comment section. So I can see those. When you were in that trade this morning, you mentioned breaking through a wall. Was that just resistance or a wall of orders or what? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yes. So good question. So yeah, you're exactly right. It actually is a wall of orders. So you know, 155 is the level I was looking at. Actually, I'm going to scroll up in this chat and go find that wall for you again, Vans. Good question. Let's see here. Copy image. So this is what I sent in before the trade. So when I'm looking to the downside, I'm going to be looking on the bid on the level 2. If I'm looking to the upside, I'm going to be looking on the ask. So for this case, I wanted Tesla to go down. There was weakness there. 155 was a nice round whole number level. Obviously, 155 is a little bit more significant than 156. 160 is probably a little bit more significant than 155. So, you know, every $10 level means a little bit more. Every $100 level, so if it's like a $200 dollar price level or 300, that's going to mean a little bit more than 160 or 155. So that the reason for that is just because of psychology. It's just a round whole number on a $5 level that Tesla is close to. 150 is going to mean more than 155. But all I wanted to do is say, okay, well, we're under 160 pre-market, and I'm going to get into this here in a second. So this is probably good that you're asking this now. So 155, as you can see here, had about, I don't know, call it 170, 180,000 shares of orders sitting there. So there's 180,000 roughly shares waiting to get transacted at 155. Why is that? Well, that's a lot of money. So the reason I want to show walls is to show you guys how much money is actually sitting there waiting to get moved around. So 155 times roughly 180,000 shares is 27.9. So $28 million is sitting there waiting to get transacted. So I know that that's actually going to bring a lot of volume into the trade, right? There's actually going to be a lot of transactions going on there, a lot of money getting moved around. So it's going to bring volume there, and it's going to make some sort of fast, volatile move that I want to capture. I want to see price come down to that level, and I'm watching the bid on the stock. Okay, we're 10 cents away, 5 cents away, 3 cents, 2 cents, 1 cent. Boom, right when he hit 155 on the dot, volume spike, all those orders get transacted, and then you'll get a nice rip through. The reason that I talk about walls is, and this is how I teach it, if I'm looking for a downside trade, think of the support as demand and think about resistance as supply. So when there's supply means selling, right? And demand means buying. So at 155, there was 180,000 shares sitting there on demand. People are actually wanting to buy those. Well, then you may ask, well, Ethan, why would you want there to be that many buyers sitting there? Well, if there's enough supply and enough selling pressure to push the stock down, and we can actually transact all of that demand, well, once all the demand's gone, then what's left? Well, the rest of the supply that's still there. So once that demand gets taken out, there's no more support. And that's why you saw that quick move. Let's just pull the chart up so everyone can see it. That's why you can see that quick move right through 155 that we saw and I was trying to capture. So we broke right through it, and instantly we got, about an 80-cent move there. We ended up getting bought back up, and then we folded right back over again. So, it ended up being a full dollar move on Tesla. We got in right before this low a day. So we ended up capturing right around a $2 move on Tesla. And honestly, guys, on a Tuesday, I really didn't think we'd get a 50% return, but we did. So it was really good. Vans, does that make sense to you? And then to the upside, again, walls is the same thing. A wall is just a wall of orders sitting there waiting to get executed. Yeah. So I have to pay for this so what you're seeing there on that screenshot is Interactive Brokers. That's something I pay for. It's around $100 a month. Thinkorswim does have level 2. The free version obviously isn't as good. You can pay for level 2 quotes, if you want them. But, the thing is, since you're still learning, I'm always going to be talking about it and always going to be sending screenshots. So you don't really need it right now. But later on, maybe in your trading journey, you may get to the point where you want to be able to see it on your own. And then you got it. Yeah. So level 2 is basically just showing you where orders are standing. So if you see right under it at 154.99, you see 200 and 100, right? So obviously not as much. And all the letters on the side, like ARCA, BATS, NSDQ, NYSE, those are all just exchanges on where the orders are getting placed. So you don't really need to pay attention to those. Just notice 155.00, right? 155 flat, and then how many shares are sitting there. Cool. I'm so busy this morning. I missed a Tesla trade. What we looking at tomorrow? So Zuma, I don't know how much time you have, but I'm going to be getting to that toward the end. I want to go over Yeah, RB, you're totally right. It doesn't look that good on Thinkorswim. And I'll pull it up. Not live news. Sorry. Level 2. So this is what level 2 looks like on Thinkorswim free version. Obviously it's after hours right now, so it's really not going to show much, but this is what it really looks like during market hours too. It's just not that great. And like I said, guys, when you're trading with me, I'm going to be talking about it every day. Even when I'm not on live, I'm going to be talking in the day trading chat about what I'm seeing, if there's any big walls that I'm looking at and notice, stuff like that. So, I mean, right now in your learning experience, you don't really need to pay for it yet. Let me pay for that stuff for now. But obviously, once you get a little bit more advanced and get a little bit more time under your belt, you may want to get to the point where you want to pay for level 2 and stuff like that, just so you can see it on your own. But yeah, no. So if there's any last questions, Airosmell, I know, what's this program? Sorry, very new here. No problem. So what you're seeing right now is Thinkorswim. It used to be by TD Ameritrade, and then Charles Schwab bought them. But it's free. And yeah, so the software is Thinkorswim. Awesome. I've used it for over 5 years, and I don't think I'm ever going to switch for charting. You can buy and sell on this, and I used to do it for a little while, probably 1 or 2 years actually. And then I got to the point where I needed a little bit more advanced stuff, just like we're talking about, seeing level 2 and stuff like that. But, the trade-off here is, I do pay for a different software called Interactive Brokers, where I do my buying and my selling. I still watch this chart that you're looking at right now, but I do my buying and selling on Interactive Brokers just because there's a little bit more tools. It is a little bit more advanced and hard to understand. But obviously, I'm here if anyone ends up getting it and wants to learn it, of course. But you do have to pay for it. And the charts on there are actually awful. They're terrible. I'll never use them. So charting wise, I'll never move away from Thinkorswim, and I always recommend it. But I do my buying and selling now on Interactive Brokers. So hope that answered the question. So if there's any last questions, again, there's more people in here now on Twitter. If you guys have questions, and some more on YouTube as well, ask away. This is my one time a week where I do this. So if you have anything, please ask, and I can see it, and I can answer the questions. So other than that, I will answer whatever you guys have, but I'm going to get into my Tesla trade for today. So why was I looking at Tesla? Well, yesterday, obviously, if anyone doesn't know what happened over the weekend, there is somewhat of a new war going on right now with Iran. And, I haven't looked that deep into it, but I just know that there's some turmoil going on in the Middle East, right? So that's probably going to mess with our market a little bit. We did see a really big sell-off yesterday in the market. Great, cool. Didn't really catch most of it or any of it, really, just because there wasn't many setups that I liked. Maybe some people made money, maybe they didn't. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do what I'm best at. Really wasn't anything that I liked, so I didn't take a trade. However, today, Tesla came in back down into this 160 level. You can see that we bounced here, and then we closed right around 161.50 yesterday. So I'm thinking, okay, well, with the negative news in the market, Tesla also, there were some quote unquote leaks that Tesla may lay off 10% of its workforce. For a company like Tesla, that's a pretty decent amount. And it's interesting. So real quick on this topic, back during the bear market, when and I think even right after COVID, people were having, people like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon were having to lay people off. But that was actually considered good news because that was less cost for the company. But now, since we're in a completely different market environment, different economy, that is actually portrayed as bad news now. So Tesla, negative news on its own, negative market news in general, looking for some downside move here, right? I thought about maybe swinging puts on Tesla just because of how weak we closed, but understanding what's going on right now, a lot of dips are getting bought. No reason to put that risk on, right? It would have worked, but cool, whatever. I caught it today. So general idea here is ideally I want a Tesla to open up above 160 and for me to actually get to take this trade, because I think that after 160, there's probably room to 155 and then 150. Those are just the $5 levels that, to me, knowing Tesla, that's what it's very capable of doing. So this morning, we opened up under 160. So that kind of messed up my original plan, right? So this white line here is 160. This is where I wanted to see Tesla open above. We didn't, right? So, okay, that's going to change my game plan. We're under 160. That's a key level. I want to see Tesla bounce off the open, right? Because when something is down a lot pre-market, if I'm a short seller and I want the stock to go down, well, just like if I bought a stock, the only way to get out of it is if you sell. So if I sell a stock wanting to short it, wanting to make money as the stock fell, the only way to get out of my position is to buy. So when something is down pre-market that I want to see continue lower, I want to see a bounce off the open because I want to see short sellers take profit, see a little bit of a bounce, and then I want to see the stock roll right back over. So it proves to me that there's still people wanting this to go down. So you get kind of a weak bounce and then boom, instantly just kind of rolls right over. You can then play that new low a day and look for a move. That's exactly what I waited for. And anyone that was in live trading today knows exactly what I'm talking about whenever I said, okay, I'm not going to chase the first candle of the day. I want to see it bounce before I get in anything. I don't care if it rips straight down here and I miss the entire trade. There's no reason to put that much risk on, no reason to chase it, no reason to lose money that I don't need to, even if the stock goes in the direction that I want. So back to how risky options are, you have to be careful. So the opening candle, typically I want to see this go green. I want to see a candle bounce just like this one here on the first candle of the day. We didn't get it. Cool, whatever. I'm sitting there on mic saying, not chasing it, not going to get in, don't care. Since we're under 160, the next round kind of whole key number level is going to be 155, right? So back to the wall, I look on level 2. Okay, nice. There's a decent wall there. About, what did I say? $28 million sitting there. It's a decent chunk of change, nothing too crazy. So we got we just started kind of selling off. Like I said, I told everyone not getting in this. I want to see a bounce. Perfect. So this is a great example of why I don't chase. I'm sure other people outside of this chat room, maybe even in it that didn't tell me, try to chase this down. The reason that I have, and it's just a rule and principle of mine that I'm not going to chase is because this instantly fell. Next candle rips almost $2. You would have been down probably 30, 40, maybe 50% on this trade. And then possibly you got out for a loss here, which really hurt. And then the stock actually does what you want. So this is why I have those rules. Why do I have them? I've made this mistake, right? So got our sell-off, and then we got the pop that I wanted. Great. Ideally, I wanted to see something kind of crazy up to 160 and then start to kind of scale into it and then get a bigger move down. Didn't get it. I was happy with 158, like I also said this morning. So cool. We got a high of 157.80, so pretty close to 158. The market was actually kind of pushing a little bit, and Tesla started instantly kind of rolling over here. Once I saw that, boom, another check mark on my criteria. I want to see the stock being weaker than the overall market. Entry was going to be right before low a day. So kind of right at the bottom of this candle we got in, we saw a little bit of a bounce. Next candle, perfect, pulled right through low a day. Little bounce here, saw continuation, volume picked up, boom, we hit 155 and saw a beautiful drop right through here. I sold about half my position on this. We bounced up a little bit. I think I took a little bit more off here just to be safe because I was already up really nicely for the trade. Held a couple runners, sold on the new low right under 154, out. Yes, I did think that this was going to keep going, but why was I okay with taking a quick trade? Typically, I would try to hold this for a lot longer, but why is today different? Well, I hope that you guys know what's going on, but Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, was talking today at 1:15 Eastern time. So typically when he's talking later in the day, you're probably going to see some chop, right? Meaning, and what does chop mean? That just means indecision. The market's going to kind of go up and down, not make any sort of clean moves because it's kind of waiting on what he is going to talk about. And for y'all don't know who Powell is, you don't really need to know specifically who he is. But like I said, he's the head of the Federal Reserve. That's a name that you want to look out for. If you ever see him talking that day, expect chop just because he does move the market. So let's go to SPY. Does that trade make sense to everyone? Before I go into that, I want to answer any questions you guys have on that. Solid trade. I mean, we caught 50% at peak, all on mic live. It was really fun. I know I kind of rambled a little bit on that, but I want to check every box on why I took that, how I took it, and what exactly that I did. Okay, why was I anticipating the bearish move on Tesla? So I don't know if you got in here a little bit later on that, but the reason I was anticipating a bearish move, and again, I wouldn't even say anticipating. I would just say that that's what I want to happen, and if that does happen, I'm going to take the trade, right? So that's I know that's very similar to anticipating, but I want the wording to be right there so you can really understand how I'm thinking about this. So why did I anticipate it? Well, like I said, and again, I don't know if you missed the beginning of my whole spiel here on this, but Tesla had a leak of a possible 10% employee layoff yesterday. And also, we're having that Middle Eastern conflict going on with Iran and Israel. So that is a big reason why our market sold off so hard yesterday. So I was just, thinking that maybe we can see some continued weakness in the overall market as well. So overall market weakness would be good. Tesla negative news that could also help this keep going down. And we have a key level that we just broke on the chart as well. So all that kind of lining up, odds are this should have a downside move today. What do I want to have happen? Bounce off open, play the new low through a key level. Everything lined up pretty nicely. And we caught a really solid trade. Yeah, right. Yeah. I believe it was 508 before it went down. So did you take 500 puts? So no, I wasn't trading SPY. I was trading Tesla. So I traded the 155 puts on Tesla. I can tell that you're talking about SPY just because of the prices you're giving me here. No, don't be sorry. It's all good. Yeah. So no, not SPY. So I was trading Tesla. So SPY, the key level I've been looking at on SPY is actually 510. I don't trade SPY. Very rarely will I trade SPY. I don't want to say don't, but very rarely. Um, I like to use SPY as more of an indicator because SPY is the S&P 500, meaning that is the top performing 500 stocks, I think in the nation. And then also QQQ is the NASDAQ. So that's mainly tech stocks. So I like to watch SPY in the Qs to show me what the overall broader market is doing. And then I trade my specific stocks that are inside that basket of stocks. So if the whole basket is falling down and my stock isn't moving, well, that shows me that there's actually strength on my individual stock. If my stock is weak and the whole basket is moving up, well, that's good. That shows me that there's actual weakness on my stock. So if they both correlate, I should get a clean move to the downside. So back to what I was saying, 510. We kind of consolidated here in SPY for a while. Once we broke under 510, as you can see, we dropped off pretty well. And now we're sitting around, I think 500 is going to be obviously that next kind of big support here that we could see. So maybe we start kind of basing out, or if things get even worse in the Middle East, maybe we actually end up falling back even more. What are your thoughts on Intel? I heard it's the next NVIDIA. Well, little pork chop, to answer that question, Intel has actually been around longer than NVIDIA. So I wouldn't say that it's the next NVIDIA, but, and I don't know where you heard that, but, and again, I'm not being critical. Intel is actually, an older company. I would say it's more of like a grandparent of the chip stocks. It's much slower moving. I would actually, I don't know. Let's just look at Intel. NVIDIA to me is more action packed. It's something that I'm actually going to be looking at more on a day to day basis. Intel is not something I trade very often. Intel looks pretty weak coming in here. But, I don't think Intel is going anywhere. They have really good processors. NVIDIA is a little bit better on the GPU. I don't know if you know anything about computers, but the graphics cards, chips, that kind of stuff. Intel, obviously, is an old company. It's, their processors are in just about everything. Their rival is a little bit more AMD, I would think. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that it's pretty extended here to the downside coming into earnings. If you heard, if that's true and they made a chip that's 50% better than NVIDIA, then maybe give it a shot. Their earnings are coming up on April 25th, so next week. If that does good, maybe the stock gets a bump. Typically, the golden rule is to be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. So right now, it seems like there's a lot of fear, a lot of selling. So maybe it's time for you to start buying up a little bit, and maybe the stock goes up. Is it something that I'm going to look to do? Not necessarily. That's just not really how I trade. But that's kind of my thoughts on it. Yeah, pretty funny name. Yeah, sure thing. Good question though. I mean, again, I don't want to make you guys feel embarrassed or anything. Those are good questions that maybe other people have. So feel free to ask. We got a few hundred people watching on other platforms though. Guys, if you have any questions, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, ask away. I can see them. Got about 15 minutes left here. And then I'm going to get into what I'm looking at for tomorrow. I haven't charted or anything, so we're going to get to do that from a fresh, clean slate. But again, big trade today, really nice, really quick. Am I going to look to put the pedal to the metal tomorrow? Absolutely not. We'll see what the market gives us. Honestly, I would take that one trade this week and move on. It paid for my whole week. I don't need to take another one. Obviously, if there's a good setup, I'm going to do it. But if there's nothing good, I'm not going to go try to go find another trade that doesn't make any sense to me. Will I be live tomorrow? No, I will be live Thursday. So this is my schedule. Monday morning, I live trade for premium only. Tuesday morning is free. So I stream on every platform and in the Discord. Tuesday night, I do a free lesson as well, stream on every platform. Don't live trade Wednesday, but I'll be in the chats talking about, I've actually walked through an entire trade through text. And then Thursday morning, I live trade for free as well. Thursday night, premium lesson over a specific topic where I go really in depth into, whatever topic it is for that week. And then that's it for that's the rest of my week. Friday, I don't do anything. You'll be here Thursday. Sweet. All right, Fidget. Cool. And, again, I know you're free, and obviously I'm going to recommend coming over to premium. But if you do have any questions, you just need to @ me in the chat. I'm not going to be there to walk you through a trade personally because, I need to focus on my premium guys. But if you have a basic question, then I'm more than happy to help you. But yeah, we're glad you're here. Yeah, look at the chat here, guys. They're telling you need premium. Once you do, you don't have $100. All right. Well, hopefully you can make it on the pre-side, and then we do giveaways and stuff. There are like game nights and stuff where you can win a free month and stuff like that. So participate in those for sure. Yeah, if you ever need anything, Nikki is the best. So I'm sure she will take very good care of you. Yeah, Wednesdays. All right, Stickman, you got it then. Yeah, Wednesdays are going to be the game night / giveaway trivia type stuff. So those are fun. I wish I could get in those. Thank you, Deals. Thank you, man. You killed it today. I could tell, even though you covered up your quantity, I could tell by your scaling out you did pretty good. My man, good job. Well, again, ask whatever you want, guys. I'm just gonna kind of start charting here just because I only have 15 minutes left. Tesla, definitely gonna be looking at this again. Ideally we closed week today and we actually didn't. So like I said, no real levels, just going to kind of be looking to play this new low down into 150. I do think we're going to see some sort of support bounce around this area. So am I super inclined to try to, really milk it and try to get some more money out of it? No. If market's nice and weak, cool, whatever. I can make some more money on that. Other than that, though, there's just nothing that I'm loving here. Ooh, nice. Here we go, guys. I stand corrected. Apple is right back down to the levels that I want. So probably going to be watching 168. Well, maybe not 168. Probably this new low down in here. Even though 168 is kind of the clear level, probably going to be looking at one. So this low here is 167.11. I'm going to be watching that. So 167 break. Ideally, we actually open. This is one of the rare times that I actually want this to open up under 168, see a pop, play the low a day through 167. All right, let us take care, man. Let me know if you ever need help. So yeah, going to be watching Apple actually to the downside. Looks good. So Tesla, Apple downside. And the only reason I'm a little bit more inclined to look for the downside is obviously because the market's a little bit weaker, right? So we'll look for that. Amazon, not really interested. Microsoft, I wanted that 430 break so bad. We didn't get it. Not interested. Maybe around 400, I'll look at it. NVIDIA actually had a green day. That's interesting. Waiting for that to just go on another move to the upside. Not really interested in the downside right now. Meta, not really interested until maybe around 485. Again, there's a big support there. Not sure that I want to be shorting into any of that right now. I will definitely be interested if we can get down in the 450 range, which is obviously pretty far away for now. So just putting that out there. Like I said, not super interested for sure. So Netflix, we have earnings this week, so not going to be watching it tomorrow, but on Friday I will. We do have a stream on Thursday evening or Thursday at market close to watch this Netflix earnings move. So definitely going to be interested. All-time high is at 700. So we are within roughly $80 of that. So Netflix could have a move up to that. And if we do have an all-time high trade on that, I am definitely going to be looking at that. All right, RB, take care, homie. Let's see here. Other than that, guys, not loving anything else. Do you have any tickers you want me to look at? If not, then that's really all I have. So Apple and Tesla downside tomorrow. Those are going to be my favorites. BA has been weak, but with the war going on, BA is something that may actually get some buying volume. Lockheed Martin, interesting. Closed week today. Raytheon, not much of a move. So with the war going on, you want to look at defense stocks, and Raytheon and Lockheed Martin are the two kind of main ones you want to look at. And then BA is probably a third. But with how bad BA has been in the news lately, probably not going to see much buying there. Morgan Stanley, sure. Close week today. However, I may be interested around this 94 level just because we have a beautiful flat top here. Looks like we got a high at 95.57. So not looking downside, but I would look upside only if we do get up in this level. If we fall back over, don't care. I don't care where it goes. I don't care if it goes in the circle. So since you mentioned a bank, let's look at the other ones here. Goldman Sachs, not looking good for my sake. JPM, really, really strong until recently. It looks like their earnings weren't great. Looks like their earnings came out on Friday. Yeah, so pretty weak there. That may be a buying opportunity for this to go back up. I know we have Discover coming out this week. This is looking weak just because when you have one bank do bad, the other bank do bad, it's kind of a domino effect. It's going to pull the other ones down. Maybe Discover can change directions here. Visa card, any credit card and banks are kind of going to follow each other. Citibank getting pulled back here. They already had earnings though, so yeah, pretty much that goes through it today. I mean, I know I'm doing this quick, but I've told you guys before, it takes me about 2 seconds to see if I could even consider this stock for the next day or not. And that's really all I care about. So obviously I do know where levels that I'm interested would be. I can put alerts there and go to those. So yeah, Fidget, sorry, I know that wasn't a lot, but just nothing for me tomorrow that I'm going to be interested in. I could see it going either way. If it comes up to 94-ish, I'll be interested to look at it then. Other than that, don't really care. Cool. Well, guys, that's all I got for you. So, once again, we had no questions over here on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, and there's a lot of y'all watching. So we got about, 5-10-ish minutes left, or we can call it early. Ask away, or we can call it. Thank you, Nikki, as always. Nice. Yeah, I'm doing the earnings stream tomorrow at close. So if anyone wants to be there for that, feel free. And you know what? Let's tell hey Siri, set an alarm for 2:50 p.m. tomorrow. Sweet. All right. Be there. All right, Vance, take care. It sounds like a bunch of people got to head out. One last time, any last questions? If not, then let's call it. Awesome, Fidget. Well, be at the next ones, man. This is how they always are. Get over to premium. There's a lot more there, I can promise you. Cool. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a good night, and I will be in the chats tomorrow. Not live trading, but like I said, just do @Ethan in the chat, and I'll get a notification if you have any questions. So other than that, guys, you have a good night. Thank you for being here, and I will see